الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Our beloved brother Sheikh Abu Usamah Tahabi, respected invitees, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude and appreciation to Sheikh Abu Usamah for flying all the way from UK to our beautiful Muslim country. This shows how keen he is in giving dawah and how close he is with us. May Allah reward you for your effort, and may He allow us to benefit from your knowledge. Ameen. I would also like to thank you and welcome you all for tonight's event, our third program of The Legacy. The Legacy is a platform introduced by Peace Foundation in July 2017, especially for international scholars and orators to visit Maldives and address the Ummah. We inaugurated this program with world-renowned scholar Dr. Bilal Phillips, followed by Sheikh Hussein for the second program, and alhamdulillah, both events were a huge success. Before we proceed, I would like to give a brief introduction about our organization. Peace Foundation is a non-governmental organization established on Islamic principles dedicated to creating a righteous and morally correct society through education and training. Established in March 2010, since then we have conducted various events. This include public lectures, youth events, dawah management workshops, prayer workshops, namuna workshops, Islamic finance workshops, kids events, and so on and so forth. Before we proceed further, I would like to thank our sponsors. Our main sponsor for the third Legacy event is SDC. Co-sponsors are Message of Islam, Litus Marine. Associate sponsors are Radiant Heat, Speed Construction, Apollo Holdings, and the Souk Cafe. Our partners as a hotel partner for the third consecutive time is Champa Central Hotel. Design partner is Mindart. Catering partner is Good Catering. And sound and lighting is Stageco. Broadcasting partner is PSM. Online media partner is DoSMV. And video partner is Maizaan Studio. Without your help and contribution, this event wouldn't have been a success. Therefore, once again, we thank you all for your immense support and contribution. Here with us tonight to continue with our third legacy is Sheikh Abu Usamah At-Tahabi. Born in New Jersey in 1964, he embraced Islam in 1986 and went on to study in the University of Medina for 8 years, where he graduated from the College of Dawah and Usul al-Din. Abu Usamah has been very active in Dawah since the day he embraced Islam. He has been the Imam of various masjids in America and United Kingdom as well. Alhamdulillah, his zeal and eagerness in conveying the true message of Islam has led him to many parts of the world, delivering lectures, seminars, as well as translating for many scholars and dua from the Arab world. His lectures, classes are well received by everyone. He was very fortunate to have spent 2 summers in intensive study under Sheikh Ibn Baz and Sheikh Ibn Uthaymin, Sheikh Abu Usamah was very affected by the dawah of the world-leading scholar Sheikh Muhammad Nasiruddin Albani rahimahullah. Now I would like to call upon to the stage our beloved Sheikh Abu Usamah to address the audience on tonight's topic. Sheikh Abu Usamah.
I got it. Bismillah, alhamdulillahi, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam. I'm not one of those people who I like to get involved in the pomp, glitter, and the circumstances and blooms and ribbons and things like that. I like to get to the point and get the benefit and get to what we call the meat and the potatoes of the situation. But I do respect the culture of the people in the different places that I go to, and that's part of being a Muslim, that things don't always revolve around you and the way you think and where you come from. So we have to be people who are gentle and easy, tolerant, even if what we see from other people, we may not necessarily like it. So I'm the type of person that just want to get to the point. But we have to be sensitive to people's situation. We have a lot to deal with today, inshallah, important information. So therefore, I don't think we have a lot of time to waste about when I became a Muslim and so forth and so on. But I understand this is how you do things here. So in keeping with the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Man lam yashkur an-nas, lam yashkilillah." The person who does not thank the people, he has effectively not thanked Allah. So we have to always show our appreciation and our gratitude for those people who have something to do with our successes. And this is why, guys, your parents and the position of your parents in Islam is such an important issue in this deen. Because if it wasn't for Allah and then your parents, you wouldn't be here. So there was a companion, radiyallahu anhu, who his father used to live with him, and the father used to take from his money. The boy would go out every day and work in the sun, come back tired. Whatever money he made, he would put it and stash it away. When he left, his father would come in and find the money and take from his son's money, his hard earnings. The son would realize someone is taking my money, and it has to be my father. So he realized it was his father. This hadith is authentic. So the man went to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet did not like dhulm. He didn't like stealing. He didn't like anyone to oppress someone else. So the man said, "Ya Rasulullah, my father is taking my money, and it's not right." The Prophet told that boy, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or that man, "Anta wa maluka li abik." You and your money belong to your father. He wasn't saying to the boy, to the man, it's okay what your father did, but what he's saying to the boy, to the man is, you need to handle this situation and manage it. What your father did, what your mother did is difficult to swallow, to deal with, but you and your money belong to your father. If it wasn't for Allah and then your father and your mother, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't have any money. You wouldn't have any children. You wouldn't have a wife. You wouldn't have your career. You wouldn't have your degree. So understand that the hadith is not talking about accept oppression. It's okay for the father to oppress his son or the mother to oppress her daughter. No. But the hadith is telling that man, you need to eat humble pie and bite the bullet. So the reason why I'm mentioning that right now is we have to be thankful and we have to be grateful for people that have something to do with our successes. And in line with that, very quickly, I just want to thank everybody from the top to the bottom who has something with me being right here today. And at the top of the list from the people I would thank is my main man, 50 grand check. because I met that brother 6-7 years ago in Bangalore. He came to Bangalore and we met. And since that time till today, he's been trying to get me here. And here I am, standing in front of you. But I won't just leave it to thank him. I want to take this opportunity out as well to thank all of the unsung heroes, the people who put this podium up, the people who put the microphone up, those guys who are working behind the scenes and the sisters who work behind the scenes. Those people who you don't realize how your efforts in the Maizaan with Allah Azza wa Jal, they are weighty and heavy. So I want to thank all of you guys. And lastly, we want to thank all of the authorities, the people who had something to do with allowing us to do what we're doing today. After that, we got to give it the program. We have a lot to deal with today, inshallah, so I will do my best to keep my voice low because the microphone is very strong. But if I do get excited and passionate, it's because I want you to focus on what I'm telling you. I want you to pay attention to what I'm telling you. Not because it's coming out of my mouth, but it comes from the yambu' and the mishkat of the sunnah. It comes from the fountain and the well of the sunnah of Abil Qasim al-Mustafa al-Mujtaba al-Mukhtar sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I want to continue with what I began with today as it relates to the topic of the khutbah of al-Jum'ah, and that is the importance of the salat. But before I do that, I want to make 2 points very quickly. The first point is the scholars of al-Islam, the ulama, the ones you have here, past and present, and the ones who are going to come. The ulama of our ummah, the scholars of our ummah, they have not left any stone unturned. The scholars of Islam, they have done work for us where we know how to worship Allah with knowledge, knowing what we're doing. The position of the scholars in al-Islam is not like the position of any Amr, Bakr, and Zayd from the people. So Allah asked the question. It's a rhetorical question because it's self-explanatory. He said in the Quran, قُلْ هَلْ يَسْتَوِ الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Tell them, people, Ya Muhammad, say to them, are they equal, those who know and those who don't know? You guys have to stick to the ulama of Islam. Don't stick to the people who don't know what they're talking about. A person may be given the gift of gab. He can talk and he inspires you. Some people come with all kind of foreign ideas, and these people will sell you up the river because they don't have knowledge. And everyone who can give a talk is not necessarily a scholar. So don't get it twisted and don't get it mixed up. A topic like the importance of salat, the ulama of al-Islam have written a lot of books in this issue. Everything that you need to know about your religion and your existence, the scholars of Islam have addressed that in this religion. There's not a single person here that, no matter what your situation is, the nuances, the dynamics that are special, the peculiar issues, except that the ulama of Islam have dealt with it. You remember that. Because our ummah is suffering right now, especially in places like the UK, where a person will embrace al-Islam in the month of Ramadan this year, and then in the new month of Muharram, he or she are passing off fatwas, saying so-and-so is a non-Muslim, so-and-so is an innovator, this is that, and this is this, and they're creating mischief in the lands of the non-Muslims. So the Prophet told us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, inna min ashrat as-sa'ati an yultamis al-ilm inda al-asaghir. From the signs of Yawm al-Qiyamah that is close is that people will look for knowledge from the asaghir, the person who's saghir, a new Muslim, brand spanking new, a youngster. He doesn't know his ankle from his elbow. He can't distinguish his ankle. He thinks this is his ankle, and he thinks this is his elbow. But for one reason or another, in this time that we're living, the time of social media and smartphones, any and everybody is a mufti. Hey guys, be careful. You be careful, because where we come from, we have a lot of challenges as a result of ignorant people. So Abdullah bin Mas'ud, that illustrious companion, may Allah be pleased with him, he said, this ummah will always be upon good as long as the knowledge that comes to them, it comes from the companions, radiyallahu anhum, and from their ulama. But if the knowledge comes from their asagir, from their youngsters, innovators, ill-equipped, incompetent, if the knowledge comes from those people, the ummah will be destroyed. So as it relates to this issue, any Muslim who knows his weight in this deen, he knows the scholars wrote books about this issue. One of the great scholars of Islam, Imam Muhammad ibn Nasr al-Marwazi, rahmatullahi alayhi, died in the year 292. From the major scholars in Islam. I'm talking about, he's up there with the stars, guys. He's a mountain of information. He wrote a book called Kitab Ta'lim Qadr al-Salat, the book that shows the importance of the Salat. Why did he put that book together? So that it can be nasiha for you and me. You can go into that book and digest it and get to know what you need to know about the importance of this prayer. The Kutub al-Sitta, those ulama al-Hadith, al-Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawud, al-Tirmidhi, al-Nasa'i, ibn Majah, rahmatullahi alayhim. In those books of Hadith, all of the books of Hadith are those chapters in every book. The chapter of Salat, everything you need to know about that prayer, before it and after it. It's a clear example of the scholars of al-Islam giving us the mirath, the legacy, the heritage of our religion. Fiqh, whether you Shafi, Maliki, Hanbali, whatever you happen to be, every madhab, every book of fiqh, the ulama, they wrote books, and in those books of fiqh is the chapter about salat. How do you do it, what you don't do, what's mustahab, what's makruh, so forth and so on. It's just the responsibility of the Muslim to do what? To make an effort to learn his religion. So make sure that each and every one of you, you look at the ulama the way that they're supposed to be looked at. Don't disrespect scholars and don't disrespect knowledge. That doesn't mean that I'm standing here saying that we don't have crackpot scholars. We don't have scholars who are a problem. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that the scholars are ma'soom. A scholar is infallible. I'm not saying that. But Allah has commanded all of us, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask those who know if you don't know. Al-ulama warathatul anbiya. The scholars are the inheritors of the prophets. You disrespect them, you are disrespecting the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the information that he brought, especially those scholars who know what they're doing. Second issue after that, from the issues that I want to deal with before getting into my topic, is it's very easy for me to come and talk about the importance of prayer to you. Start dealing with some of those ayat from the Quran, some of those hadith, like the question that the people will have Yawmul Qiyamah, when Allah Ta'ala will have the angel to say to them, مَا سَلَكَكُمْ فِي سَقَرٍ قَالُوا لَمْ نَكُنْ مِنَ الْمُصَلِّينَ. What caused you people to be in the hellfire? Why are you burning in hell? Why did you end up in this place instead of being in the Jannah? Why are you here? Their response will be, we were from those who didn't pray. I'm standing here right now, and in our religion, I cannot put anyone in the hellfire because I want to, and I can't put anyone in the Jannah because I want to. We put people in the Jannah based upon proofs. We put people in the hellfire based upon proofs. I'm telling you right now, if a Muslim were to take care of this prayer and he was to do it correctly, he or she, wallahi thumma billahi thumma tallahi, he's going to go to Jannah. Just as the Prophet said about at-tawheed. من قال لا إله إلا الله نفعته يوم من دهره. Anyone who says La ilaha illallah is going to benefit him one day. One day. When he dies, he may go straight to Jannah without any hisab, without any adab. That's up to Allah. Or he may go to the hellfire, but he won't stay there forever. So I can say emphatically, if you die on Tawheed, you're going to Jannah. The question is when? How? And I could stand here and emphatically say, if you pray correctly, you're going to go to Jannah. If you pray the way you're supposed to pray. The Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in an authentic hadith, خمس صلوات كتبهن الله على العباد من جاء بهن ولم يضيع منهن شيئا استخفافا بهن كان له عند الله أن يدخله الجنة. Listen to this hadith. There are 5 prayers that Allah has made obligatory upon His servants. Anyone who comes with those 5 prayers, Yawm al-Qiyamah, the way they were supposed to be done, and he didn't miss anything concerning them, and he wasn't lazy and lackadaisical and neglectful as it relates to them, he will have a contract and a promise from Allah that He will put him in Jannah. He doesn't go to the hellfire. And anyone who comes, but he was lax, missing, wanting, he didn't pray up until the age of 20. He prays sometimes, he didn't pray other times. When he prayed, he didn't pray the correct way. Anyone comes and he was laxed, then it's up to Allah. If Allah wants to put him in Jannah, He will. If Allah wants to put him in the hellfire, He will. That hadith proves what? I can use these ayat and these ahadith to prove all of that stuff, but I don't want to tackle this issue that way. I want to tackle this issue from another angle, and that is, our subject here tonight is, how did the companions look at the prayer? Radiyallahu anhum. How did the tabi'un look at the prayer? My mother back in America right now, Miss Mamie, right now, back in America, Miss Mamie. If you ask my mother, may Allah guide her to al-Islam and the Sunnah, hey, Miss Mamie, do you know what the companions are? She's going to say no. Do you know what the tabi'un are? She's going to say no. But you guys, born and raised as Muslims, when you hear that word, the companions, the tabi'un, those words are from your Islamic vocabulary that you have to know. Just like you know nur, hijab, bab, sama, al-shams, al-kitab, al-sayyara, al-tariq. You know all of those words. You may not be able to string along a sentence or carry a conversation in Arabic, but your vocabulary of the language of our Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you know a lot of words. 2 words you have to know: as-sahaba, ridwanullahi alayhim, and you have to know the tabi'un. That shouldn't be a word new on you. We want to tackle and deal with this issue. How did the companions and how did the tabi'un, radiyallahu anhum ajma'in, how did they look at the prayer? And let us look at the way they evaluated salat and looked at the salat and what happened to them, and the way the Muslim community is looking at the prayer today and what's happening to us, because there's a direct parallel and a direct correlation, a direct impact. And the reason why I'm using these 2 groups is because of their position in our religion. Listen, every Muslim is going to say, hey, you're a revert, you have to believe in the Quran and the Sunnah. Every Muslim says that. But the person who wants to take the Quran and the Sunnah and give it his own interpretation, that's a problem. We have to interpret the Quran and the Sunnah the way those companions interpreted it, because of them, it was revealed. They knew what those ayat were referring to. The Sunnah, it was spoken to and explained to them. And then after those companions took those sources, may Allah be pleased with them, they transmitted it to the companions, to the tabi'un. So it's not enough, guys, just to say Quran and the Sunnah. We have to be on the Quran and the Sunnah the way the companions were on this religion. And that's what I always tell reverts. Listen, when you meet the Muslims, wherever they come from, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, the Arab world, Africa, wherever you meet the Muslims, Muslims have a lot of good in their societies as a result of the protection that Islam gives them. Even if they're not practicing, things are in place to insulate you and protect you. Having a wali, the girl, it's a protection. So many issues. But I tell the reverse. Don't take your religion just based upon what the Muslims are doing. This is not to put the Muslims down. This is just to say, and giving them advice, always ask people, how did Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman and Ali, how did they understand that ayah or that hadith? So Allah mentioned in the Quran, والسابقون الأولون من المهاجرين والأنصار والذين اتبعوهم بإحسان رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عنه. The vanguard of Islam, the people from Mecca and Medina, the Muhajirun and the Ansar, the first people to embrace Islam. When one of them will leave his house after accepting Islam in Mecca, he's leaving his house in the morning, in the evening. He will leave his house and give salams to his kids, his wife, not knowing, is he coming back? Because it wasn't easy being a Muslim in Mecca in that hostile environment. The Islamophobia that we have to deal with in America, the Islamophobia that we have to deal with in Europe, France, Belgium, these places. This is a problem for us. It's a challenge. But it's a walk in the park compared to what Bilal ibn Rabah had to deal with. Radiyallahu anhu, Sumayya, radiyallahu anha, Ammar, Yasir, Ridwanullah alayhim, Khabbab ibn Arat. May Allah be pleased. It's a walk in the park. So Allah mentioned in that ayat, those first people of the Muslims and then the ones who came after them, the Tabi'un, Allah is pleased with them and they're pleased with Allah. So that's the blueprint for success. You want to be successful? Follow those people and put emphasis on what they put emphasis on. And one of the issues that they put emphasis on is what we're dealing with tonight. So let us proceed. I want to give you, inshallah, 4 or 5 examples. I hope this can take maybe 30 minutes at the most, inshallah, and I hope that the weather holds up. And you guys live on an island and you can smell and tell when the wind blows. You could tell before the rain is coming. Just give me a sign. The rain is coming soon, and I'm going to cut it short because I don't want to get wet myself. So I'm expecting, especially people in the first row, you start smelling the rain is coming. You guys are islanders. You know how it goes. You just get my attention. But I need about 30 minutes of your time, inshallah azza wa jal. First thing that we want to look at is to remind you of what was mentioned today in the khutbah. And what was mentioned in the khutbah today was that the Tabi'i by the name of Abdullah ibn Shaqiq al-Uqayli, he said that the companions, may Allah be pleased with them, they did not consider the abandonment of any deed. You leave off a deed, they didn't see that as kufr, with the exception of salat. If you left salat, they said this person is a kafir. This person is probably a munafiq. Because one of the main characteristics of the hypocrites is they don't like to pray. وَإِذَا قَامُوا إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ قَامُوا كُسَالًا يُرَاءُونَ النَّاسَ وَلَا يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. The hypocrite is the one who, when he gets up to pray, he's lazy, lethargic. He doesn't want to do it. He's only doing it because people are watching him. But when they pray, they don't remember Allah except a little bit. So the companions knew this is a sign of a hypocrite, hypocrisy. You remember that. And this is one of the main reasons why those scholars from the Hanbali madhab of the opinion, if you abandon salat, even if you believe it's wajib, some of the scholars from the Hanbali madhab are opinion you are non-Muslim. You can't stay married to your husband who doesn't pray. You can't inherit from your father who doesn't pray. He can't be buried in the maqbar of the Muslim if he doesn't pray. I don't take that position. It's an issue of ikhtilaf. I take the other position, that if a person believes the salat is wajib, he's still a Muslim. Because of that hadith I told you earlier. If you don't take care of those 5 prayers, Yawm al-Qiyamah, you won't have a contract with Allah. If Allah wants, He'll forgive you. If Allah wants, He'll put you into the hellfire. Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ جَمِيعًا. Tell them, Muhammad, oh my servants, servants of Allah, don't give up hope. Don't despair from the rahmah of Allah. Allah will forgive any and every sin as long as you don't die as a mushrik. So if you don't pray, Allah will forgive you. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرُ يُشْرَكَ بِهِ وَيَغْفِرُ مَا دُونَ ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ. Allah will not forgive you if you make shirk, but He'll forgive anything and everything other than that. Anything and everything other than that. So my point is, I want to bring that to your attention. If the companions felt that way and they looked at the issue like that, It's not acceptable or okay for us as Muslims today to look at the salat and the one who doesn't pray as being a small thing. Which brings me to the second issue. One of the great tabi'een, his name is Ibrahim al-Nakha'i. He was one of the main students of Abdullah bin Mas'ud. May Allah be pleased with him. Ibrahim al-Nakha'i was the main sheikh of Al-Imam Abu Hanifa's sheikh. So the Hanafi madhab gets a lot of stuff from the fiqh of Abdullah bin Mas'ud. Abdullah bin Mas'ud in the scales, ikhwani, brothers, sisters, this man was on another level. May Allah be pleased with him. On another level. His student Ibrahim al-Nakha'i said, كانوا إذا أتوا رجلا ليأخذوا عنه العلم نظروا إلى صلاته وإلى سمته. The Salaf, the pious predecessors, they were a group of people who, if they went to a person to take knowledge from that person, to learn this religion from that person, travel from Egypt to Bukhara, travel from Syria all the way to another far distant land of the Muslim Empire. When he got there to take from the sheikh, he would not take any knowledge from him until he first looked at how does he pray and his samt. His samt means, does he eat with his right hand? Does he drink with his right hand? Does he give with his right hand? Does he take with his right hand? How is his clothes looking? How is he physically appearing in the public? How is his edep? If the guy was a person who was inappropriately behaving in public and in private, they would say he's not worthy of taking knowledge of. But they will look at how does he pray. Is he looking at the place of sajda as the Prophet used to do, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or is he looking around? Is he disciplined? Does he have a sutra? Does he raise his hand? How does he read? How is his movements? They will look at that because they felt that the salah is an amana, a big amana. If he can't take care of the amana of the prayer, then he's not worthy of taking the knowledge from him. They would not allow a person to come before them and talk to them and to get on the minbar and to start talking to the people like we have today. Any Amr, Bakr, Zayd is allowed to come into the masajid of the Muslims and get access to the minds and the hearts of the Muslims. This is one of the evils of social media. This is one of the evils of social media. You don't know who's on the other end of the information. Is it a jinn? Is it a witch? Is it a sorcerer? Is it a Muslim, competent, qualified? No, I don't know who's behind the keyboard. And that's why those of you who are on social media, don't waste your time by commenting to everyone who has something to say to you. Some people are there just to troll you, but the point is, they would not allow the hearts and the minds of the people to be accessed by somebody who doesn't take care of the prayer. Listen to this. I'm a father and I have my daughters, Arwa, Hafsa, Sudesa, my little baby girls, my princesses. May Allah Azza wa Jal put them into the Jannat al-Firdaus with our Ummahat al-Mu'mineen. A man wants to marry my daughter, so he comes to me and I'm going to give him a chance. I don't care if he's from Maldives. Come and talk to me, no problem. I'm not going to shut the door in your face because you come from this island or that island or you're not African American. But I'm going to look some boxes that I have to check. What is his education like? What is his family like? What do the people have to say about him? How is his disposition? But at the top of the list is, what does he believe and how does he believe? And then under that is, does he pray? Because my daughter is an amana, as Allah mentioned in the Quran, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, la takhunu Allah wa rasul, wa takhunu amanatikum wa antum ta'lamun. Oh, you believe. Don't be treacherous as it relates to your trust. And don't be treacherous as it relates to Allah and His Messenger. Take care of those trusts. My daughter's a serious trust. Serious trust. So in our society, like you have your daughter, you have your sister, someone wants to come and marry her. You like me. Let's see if he ticks the boxes. Okay. He has a good degree, comes from a good family. When I met him, he was respectful, he's articulate, and so forth and so on. And all of that is good. But do we ask the question, does he pray? Because if he ticks all of the boxes today and he doesn't pray, many of us will marry our daughter to that guy. That same guy, if we were to ask the people, does he drink khamr? And the community say, yes. We're going to say, can't marry my daughter. Does he gamble? The community say, yes, can't marry my daughter. Is he a person who's known to go into the dodgy places? We're going to say, can't marry my daughter, and rightly so. But listen to me when I tell you. Drinking khamr, making zina, akramakumullah, gambling, wallahi billahi ta'lahi, all of them are major sins. But abandoning prayer is a bigger sin than those. That's how the companions looked at not praying. The way we look at it, khamr is bad, gambling is bad, zina is bad, no doubt. They're from the akbar al-kaba'ir. But not praying is a bigger sin than that. How do we know that? The Prophet, he mentioned, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, between a man and kufr is salat. So anyone who doesn't pray is a kafir. The difference between us and them is the prayer. Whoever doesn't pray is a kafir. Not to pray is an action of kufr. To do the other things, they're major sins, but they're not kufr. So the great scholar in al-Islam, al-Imam al-Dhahabi, has a book. You guys have to have that book in your library. It's called Kitab al-Kaba'ir, the major sins. He brings abandoning prayer. He said about abandoning prayer in Kitab al-Kaba'ir, al-Imam al-Dhahabi said, the great scholar al-Imam Ibn Hazm said, I don't know any sin that is greater than shirk and murdering someone, that is greater than a person allowing the salat to come and go without praying. He said shirk is bigger than that, and murdering someone is bigger than that. So drinking, khamr, and these issues, they're big, but they're not like abandoning the prayer. Again, I think you all know the hadith where the Prophet says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the example of the house, that you have the dhikr of Allah in that house, the Quran. The people are saying, inshallah, mashallah, assalamu alaikum. They're talking the language of Islam. The example of the house where Allah's dhikr is made and the house where Allah's dhikr is not made is like the example of the living and the dead. Guy wants to come and marry my little baby girl, Arwa. And I'm going to give my daughter to a house where it's a dead house. Something's wrong with that. Something is wrong with that. Father, brother, uncle who would allow something like that to happen. So that's how the Salaf, that's how the Tabi'in looked at it. You can't teach us till we see how you pray. Number 3, pay attention to this one. The Dajjal. The Dajjal, guys. I don't know when the last time was that you guys heard about the Dajjal. Because he told us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, inna min ashrat as-sa'ati an la yuthkar ad-Dajjalu ala al-manabir. From the signs that Yawm al-Qiyamah is close is that people won't mention the Dajjal on the mimbars of their masajid. The teacher, the sheikh, he won't tell the people about the danger of the Dajjal. The biggest fitna that Allah has created since he created Adam. Every Nabi, every Rasul, salawatullahi wassalamu alayhim ajma'een, told their people, a-Dajjal, 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 a-Dajjal. Friday passed by today. We have to read Surah Al-Kahf. First 10 ayat, last 10 ayat, protection for the Muslim of the Dajjal. Listen to me. If that Dajjal was to come right now and step foot right here, the best person in this audience in Islam can turn around and say that the Dajjal is Allah because of the tricks that he has up his sleeve. Especially in this environment that we're living in, social media. People are pushing Muslims off of the square of their religion with things that are easier than the Dajjal. Tricking Muslims with things that are easier than the Dajjal. People are compromising their honor. The girl compromises her honor with something easier than the Dajjal. Some slick talking person comes and starts talking some kalam that is just a lie, and she compromises her honor. That's not the Dajjal. Dajjal is serious. From the signs of the hour, a Dajjal. I want to take this time out to show you a Dajjal in the Salat. And this is why it's really important, guys, not only that you pray, but that we get the right Aqidah. Because if you have the right understanding of Islam, if the Dajjal comes, you have Aqidah. You're going to say, you can't be Dajjal because of this and this and this and this. And you won't for 1 minute fall for that stuff, for 1 minute. Two things I want to mention about the Dajjal, inshallah. First thing is, one of the great tabi'een, his name is Ta'us ibn Kaysan al-Yamani, tremendous scholar from the tabi'een. His son, who was underage, he was on top of him about praying. Father, I got to tell my kids, get up and pray. I got to tell my kids, get off of social media. I told the brothers and sisters at the seminar that I gave yesterday, and I say it to this audience, if you are a mother or father, and you have a child, son or daughter, who is young, and your son or daughter will get off of the Xbox and social media and the iPad, they get off on their own, go and make wudu on their own, and then pray. If you have a kid like that, you need to make sajda sahw. Because you're unlike the vast majority of us, myself included. Because we have to stay on top of our kids. Hey, get off of that Xbox. Hey, get off of that iPad. He'll spend 8 hours on that iPad if you allow him. So this particular man from the Tabi'een, he was on his kid. Taught him the Quran. His kid made salat. He said to his kid who made salat at home, did you seek refuge in Allah from the Dajjal in your prayer? The boy said, no, I forgot to. He said, go back and redo your prayer. The boy went back and he redid his prayer. Why? There's an authentic hadith that the Prophet told us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, listen to me now. إِذَا تَشَهَّدَ أَحَدُكُمْ فَلْيَسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ مِنْ أَرْبَعٍ. If you guys pray, he told us, if you pray, before saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, before you come out of your prayer, seek refuge in Allah from 4 things. First one, min adhab al-qabr. Second thing, min adhab jahannam. Third thing, min adhab min fitnati al-masih al-dajjal. Seek refuge from the fitna of a dajjal in every single prayer. The fourth thing, seek refuge in Allah from the fitna and the shar of al-mahya wal-mamat. The fitna of life and death. All of these fitnas we have to deal with. Point is, you have to pray 5 times every day at least. So every day, today, you didn't read Surah Al-Kahf for one reason or another. I'm not blaming you. You were busy, whatever. You didn't read Surah Al-Kahf. But you had to pray today. Every single prayer, the Jummah prayer, the Eid prayer, your Sunnah prayers, seek refuge in Allah from the fitna of the Dajjal. Because why? When he comes, everybody's Islam is suspect. That's why the Sunnah told us, if he comes, don't be inquisitive. Don't come to look. Go the other way. Because he has, like I told you, things up his sleeves. That's an example of how the Salaf looked at the Salat. If you pray and you don't say this dua, your prayer is still accepted, inshallah. It's still accepted. But that father from the Tabi'een, he wanted his son to be protected divinely from the Dajjal with something that is automatic in the religion. Another thing about the Dajjal, and this is really critical. Prophet Muhammad came out to the people, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He sat down and he just started talking about the Dajjal. They became afraid from what he was saying. They didn't see the speech of the Dajjal as just some kalam like that. They were like, what? My religion can be taken from me? It's a serious issue. So he started telling them about the Dajjal. In the middle of the discussion, he looked in that direction for no apparent reason. Everybody, once he looked, they all looked. The Prophet turned back, and when he looked at them, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he saw that they were afraid, nervous. He said, what's the matter? They say, Ya Rasulullah, you were telling us about the Dajjal, and then you looked that way. We thought he was going to come out right now. Prophet Muhammad told them, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Lo kharaja wa ana fikum, fa ana hajijukum min dunihi. Wa idha kharaja wa ana lastu fikum, fa kullu imri'in hajij nafsihi." Don't worry. If the Dajjal comes and I'm with you, I'm alive, I'm going to deal with him. You get behind me. I'm the Sayyid of Bani Adam. I'm the Khatam of the Anbiya and the Rasul. I have the knowledge. I'm going to deal with him. All of you, you get behind me. But if he comes out and I'm not there, I'm dead. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Then everybody will be responsible for himself. This hadith shows, number one, the virtues of the companions. May Allah be pleased with them. They're not like us because they lived with the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Anything happened, they could go right to him and say, Ya Rasulullah, what about this, what about that? And if he wasn't present, they go to Abu Bakr, they go to Umar, they go to Ali, they go to Uthman, Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, they go to these other ulama. So if they lived with him, it shows they're better than everybody else. It also goes to show, guys, how those companions were as it relates to the Dajjal. But I didn't finish. The reason why I'm telling you this is this. He said to them, when the Dajjal comes out, he's going to be on the earth for 40 days, 40. 40 days. The first day will be like the duration of 1 year. The second day will be like the duration of 1 month. The third day will be like the duration of 1 week. And the 37 subsequent days will be like these days that we have. So if someone to ask you about your knowledge of the Dajjal, you have to know. The Dajjal can't go to Mecca and Medina. The Dajjal, he won't have any children. The Dajjal has that eye that's messed up. The Dajjal is going to claim that he's Allah. So many issues. You got to have some idea what's going on. When he comes out, how long will he be on the face of the earth? 40, 40. Making fitna. And he's going to come out and things are going to be terrible, tough. There's going to be a drought. He'll come out, point to the sky, and it's going to rain. He'll find poor people who are in need. You'll come to him, he'll point to the ground will open up and throw treasures out and he'll give it to you. Provided you believe that he's Allah. People don't have aqidah. People who are, they're square that they're on is weak. Any Tom, Dick, or Harry, Amr, Bakr, Zay can come by and he'll sell his religion. Those kind of people are going to be lost. First day like 1 year, second day like a month, third day like a week, 37 days like your days. What do you think the question was of the companions? Some of us, when we hear these hadith, the shaitan eats with his left, he drinks with his left, he gives with his left, he takes with his left, so therefore you shouldn't do that. The shaitan sleeps in the nasal passage of each and every one of you. The shaitan has an arush over the water somewhere that we don't know where it is. When you miss Salatul Fajr, the shaitan urinates in your ear. A shaitan circulates in Bani Adam the same way his blood is circulating. So many issues about shaitan, created from a smokeless fire. So many issues. Some of us, when we hear these hadith, shaitan drinks and eats with his left hand, the person says, well, I have a PhD in mathematics, so you really telling me shaitan got a left hand? Amen. The Prophet says shaitan does that. He has a left hand. He gives and takes with his left. So don't do it. When the companions heard this kalam, they never said things like that. How is 1 day like a year? How is 1 day like a month? They didn't have those questions. They just said we hear and obey. You know what their question was? When they heard this, 1 year, 1 month, 1 week, and like the subsequent days, 37, they said, Ya Rasulullah, kayfa nusalli. If he comes out, how do we pray? That was their question. How do we pray? If 1 day is like 1 year, how do we figure out al-fajr, al-dhuhr, al-asr, maghrib, al-isha? If 1 day is like a month, how do we figure it out? Why did they ask that question? Because as Muslims, they know, as I told you today, the salat is one of the most important identifying factors of who you are as a Muslim. So that's important to them. So in the West, you guys don't have this here, I don't think. You have things to protect you, insulate you divinely. In the West, you go to get a job. You have a degree in economics. You have a degree in IT. You have a degree in whatever, and you're a professional. You go to get that job. They say, yes, your resume is impressive. You can work here, but you can't go to Jummah. The guy says, okay. Okay, you can work here, sister, but you can't wear hijab here. And you have to go out to the meetings, luncheons, you have to drink khamr, you have to shake hands with men, you have to hug people, and we even want you to date the clients. The Muslim is the person who says, what? I can't work here if I have to pray? Nah, I need that money, but salat is one of the issues that identify who I am. Salat is one of those issues, it's just non-negotiable. It identifies who I am. It's like my name. My name is not Mo. My name is not Harry. My name is not Joe. My name is Abu Usamah. My name is Muhammad. My name is not Larry. It's Latif. Those are the names that my parents gave me. Don't play around with that. So that gives you an idea and an indication how the companions looked at the salah. Ya Rasulullah, how do we pray? And that's what the Muslim has to say. Would you guys allow me to go to Jummah at this job? Would you guys allow me to practice my religion at this job? I'm not telling you to cater to everything for me, but I'm asking you in my lunch break, I'm asking you, work with me. Which brings us to the last two issues, and I'm done, inshallah. Umar, radiallahu anhu, during his khilafah, Umar was the khalifa for about 10 years, 10 and a half years, 11 at the most. Umar's khilafah was the golden years of Islam because Islam spread in his khilafah. Far and wide, the Muslims took over Bayt al-Maqdis, the third most important city to the Muslims and Islam. In his khilafah, he was assassinated, and that's the point I want to deal with. There was a man who was from Persia. His name is Fairuz Abu Lu'lu', the Persian. I'm not going to get into the problem, but what happened was he decided he's going to kill the Amir al-Mu'mineen. He had his knife. He made the knife two-pronged, a dagger, two prongs, a blade here, a blade there. He was sharpening it every day, preparing for this thing. Obsessed, I'm going to kill that man. He would dip it in poison and let it sit overnight in poison. I'm going to be efficient in killing that man. When the day came to do it, he chose a time where Umar is not worrying about this dunya, and that is Salatul Fajr. The man is going to begin his day with the Malaika because the Salat of al-Fajr is witnessed by the Malaika. Important time of the day. He hid. When the people got there in Salat, he came out. Not only did he stab the Amir al-Mu'mineen, he just didn't stab him, but he went like this with the knife. And after he did that, he ran down the line. He was stabbing other people, 13 other people. When Umar was stabbed and cut, his intestines ravaged by the knife, by the dagger, he said, "The dog has killed me," and he fell down. The companions didn't get out of the prayer. They kept praying. In the first row, right behind Umar, they were practicing the sunnah. And the sunnah is that the ulama and the knowledgeable people should be behind the imam. Not any and every Amr, Bakr, and Zayd. And don't come now and say, oh, where is the justice of Islam? This is racist. Prophet Muhammad told us, let those be who are the ulul nuha wal ahlam, the intelligent, the elders, the ulama. Let them pray behind the imam. So if something happens, they know what to do. Brand spanking new revert, he comes with his understanding. I'm African American. There's a lot of racism in America, but al-Islam, everybody is equal. Look, when we go to Hajj, everybody wears ihram. I'm the first one here behind the imam. I'm not moving. The people say to me, akhi, this place is for the assistant imam, the deputy imam. I don't know what you people are talking about. There's no racism in al-Islam. People leave him. The imam comes, he makes a mistake, he turns around, he doesn't know what to do. He chooses this guy thinking he knows what he's getting. That man comes and he says, Bismillah, the most merciful, the best. And he starts reading the Quran in English. But he swears, because of his own personal African-American experience and racism and African-Americans being killed by police in America, he swears that his emotions and what he went through, his point of view is right. Your point of view is correct in certain contexts, but right here, the sunnah is for the ulama. Another proof of the position of the ulama. Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, one of the 10 people promised Jannah, he was behind the Amir al-Mu'mineen. He moved forward. He started praying. Did he read Surah Al-Baqarah? See, the young person, they get up there and he start reading Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah Al-Ma'idah. No, he has to shorten the prayer. We got an emergency on our hands. So they prayed and they took all of the people out. Those people died. Some of them fatally, they died. Some didn't die. The Amir al-Mu'mineen, wow. People were like, wow. That's the one who the Nabi said about him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, kana nabiyyan ba'di lakana Umar. If there was a Nabi after me, it would be this man right here. Oh Allah, help al-Islam with one of the two Umars. And he mentioned Umar ibn al-Khattab. Lo saraka Umaru maslakan. La saraka shaitan maslakan ghayr maslakihi. If Umar went down the street, shaitan would go down another street, the other side. Not because of his lihya, not because of his muscles, but because of his deen. They took him, shocked. The Muslims in shock. They gave him some milk, and the milk came out of his intestines. They had enough knowledge to know Umar's going to die. Inshallah. The Arabs were doctors. Milk came out of his intestines. He's going to die. So they said, don't let him go to sleep. Don't let him lose consciousness, because if he does, he may not wake up. They were trying to keep him awake, but he wouldn't wake up. Abdullah ibn Abbas came to see the Amir al-Mu'mineen, one of the ulama of the companions. He was young. He was young. Islam is not against a young person, but if the young person has knowledge, it makes him big and large. Real knowledge that was attested by those scholars. Abdullah bin Abbas said, I know what will keep him awake, what will wake him up. He said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, it's time for salat. And Umar opened up his eyes. The reason why Abdullah bin Abbas said that is, one of his jobs during the khilaf of Umar was, he would get his salary from the Baytul Mal. And one of his jobs was to come to Umar before the prayer, the time it takes to read 150 ayat, he would come to Umar and say, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, it's time for salat. So if Umar is busy with someone, once they hear that, they can't get upset with him. He says, I got to go. That man is the Amir al-Mu'mineen. He didn't wait until he heard the adhan to start getting ready. He's the Amir al-Mu'mineen. You're talking about busy? The time it took to read 150 ayat. Ibn Abbas made money from the Bayt al-Mal. Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, get ready for prayer. Umar has been hearing this from Abdullah bin Abbas for 10, 11 years, 5 times every day. So it's in his DNA. It's inside of him. When he heard that, he opened his eyes and he said to those people present, listen to this. وَالَّذِي نَفْسِي بِيَدِهِ لَا إِيمَانَ لِمَنْ لَا صَلَاةَ لَهُ. I swear by the one who my soul is in his hands. The one who doesn't pray doesn't have iman. If there was a Nabi after me, it would have been Umar, radiyallahu anhu. I swear by Allah, the one who in his hands is my soul. The one who doesn't pray, he doesn't have iman. Even if he or she swears by Allah, I love Islam. I love Prophet Muhammad. One of the best and most effective proofs of loving Allah and his messenger and being a Muslim is praying. Last example, guys, and we're done. Inshallah. That is what the Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib, said. It'll only take 2 minutes, inshallah. Ali ibn Abi Talib. He was sitting with some of his students from the Tabi'een, and he said to them, do you people know what were the last words that came out of the mouth of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the very last words that he spoke to us with? They said, no. He said, I'll tell you. At the end of the death, at the end of his life, signs started coming showing us he was going to die. That Ramadan, before he died, Jibril came and went over the Quran 2 times with him every night. Prior to that, Jibril would do it once. But this year, he went over the Quran twice. It was an ishara. You're going to die soon. When he performed the Hajj, he said to the people at Hajj, take from me the rights of Hajj. I don't know if I'm going to see you after this year. At the Hajj, he made a Hajj called Al-Iqran, where he took his animals. He took 100 camels, 100, and he slaughtered 63. You know, it takes some strength to slaughter 3 or 4 camels, just one. He slaughtered 63. And that's why I say to our youngsters, come on, man. Get off of that thing, that Xbox. It doesn't give you any skill set. He slaughtered 63 camels. Do something with your hands. Do something with your mind and your hands simultaneously. The Prophet said about Zakaria sallallahu alaihi wasallam, kana Zakaria najjaran. He was a person who was a carpenter. There's nothing wrong with being a fisherman. If that's what's on the table, do something with your hands. 63 camels. We sit here and we just think, oh, that's easy. Most of us don't have the courage and the nerve to slaughter 1 camel because we're scared of that camel. 63. And then the rest he gave to Ali ibn Abi Talib. That was a sign. 63 camels for the 63 years of his life. You're going to die soon. 63 camels. The ayah came down on the mountain of Arafah. Al-yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati wa raditu lakum al-islam ad-dina. Whatever is complete, after completion is downhill. So there were a lot of isharat. Ali told the people. So he became sick. He got so sick that he had to stay in the house. He couldn't pray. For the first time in all of those years in Medina, he didn't come for salah. It affected the community. So he told Abu Bakr, you lead the people in the prayer. Abu Bakr led the people in the prayer for a few days. And then the Prophet came out, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was with 2 of his companions, one on the right, one on the left. They were bringing him out. When he opened up his door, the hujurat that connect his houses to the masjid, he saw the Muslims praying. Usamah ibn Uzayd said he put a big smile on his face at what he saw. Because he knows as long as these people are praying to Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah will protect them. They're connected. He smiled. They brought him to the row. He got in the row, first row, and the people started going like this. For Abu Bakr to pay attention. They said about Abu Bakr, if he went into the prayer, he didn't look around. He went into the prayer, he looked at the place of sajda, the sunnah. He didn't look around. But they kept doing it, so he knew something's wrong. So he looked, and he saw the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Prophet Muhammad did like this, stay there, keep praying. Abu Bakr's humility, no way. He backed up. Rasulullah went forward, and he led the people in the salat, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Few days went by, he became sick again, and they had him in the house. They wrapped his head up with something to keep the pain. They said, Ya Rasulullah, how bad is your pain? You're under a lot of stress. It's tough. He said, yes, my pain is double any of your pain. Why? Because he's getting ready to go to Jannah. He's a human being. Allah is the only one who is complete. No one is going to go into Jannah except by the rahmah of Allah. Even the prophets and the messengers. Their deeds, their works don't get them into Jannah. It's Allah's rahmah. And you have to be clean to get into Jannah. Human beings, by nature, their fitrah, they are not clean totally. كل بني آدم خطاؤون وخير خطائين التوابون. All of Adam's sons, they make mistakes. Best one who makes mistakes, one who's make tawbah. So he went through that because he's going to get the Maqam al-Mahmud, that high station. Look what happened, guys, and we're done. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he lost consciousness. And when he lost consciousness in front of the people, they became disturbed. They were worried. I stand here And I say to you guys, my mother, I love my mother, wallahi, I love my mother. I love my kids. You love your mother, you love people, your husband, your wife. Choose the person you love the most, your qurratul ayn. The love that you have for that person doesn't compete with the love those companions had for the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Another level. So when he lost consciousness, you can only imagine. They were like, wow, wow. Everybody was uptight. Ali ibn Abi Talib telling the people the story. He said, and then after a long extended period of time, the Prophet opened his eyes. He said, when he opened his eyes, he said to the people, as-salat, as-salat, wa ma malakat aymanukum. Take care of the prayer, take care of the prayer. And take care of the right-hand possessions, those people under your supervision, your wives, your children, your slaves. Take care of them. And he lost consciousness. For a long period of time, the people were nervous. After a long period of time, he opened up his eyes again. What do you think he said? As-salat, as-salat, wa ma malakat aymanukum. Take care of the prayer, take care of the prayer. And take care of your right-hand possessions, those under your supervision. Lost consciousness. Time went by. Third time he opened his eyes. He could have made dua, oh Allah, don't allow my ummah to be oppressed. Oh Allah, help my ummah in the times after my death to keep them stronger to Yawmul Qiyamah. Oh Allah, he could have made any dua. He is aqil, hakim. He opened his eyes the third time, he said, as-salat, as-salat, wa ma malakat aymanukum. He closed his eyes and he died. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now the question is, you people who are sitting out there in this audience from this island, do you think he repeated that 3 times, abeth, and just to waste time? Ali ibn Abi Talib said, those were the last words that came out of his mouth. 23 years of da'wah to Allah, 23 years, and they ended with, as-salat, as-salat, wa ma malakat aymanukum. And I, Abu Usamah, I can't tell my kid, hey boy, you have to pray. I can't tell my sister, hey girl, you have to pray. I can't tell my mother, my father, as-salat, as-salat. So I'm not here, guys, to judge anybody. I'm just here to say we're all weak servants, and we all have good, and we all have bad and challenges. If you want to be of the people who are successful, as-salat, as-salat, wa ma malakat aymanukum. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to establish all of our feet and our hearts firmly upon this kitab and the sunnah, according to the understanding of the salaf of this ummah. And he makes us of those people who are truthful in word and deed, and that he gives us ikhlas, and he gives us the ability to navigate through all of this jungle that we have to navigate, that is called the hayat of the dunya. Learn your religion and don't let go of the salat in al-Islam. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. You have enlightened us from various perspectives, and I have no doubt that your talk has led us to increase our iman and our faith in Islam. May Allah open our hearts to the knowledge and steadfast in the path of Ameen. Here comes to the end of tonight's program, and I would like to thank you all for being present here. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.